are Anka. Stay tuned for updated real news.
Greetings from Anka Daily News. Today we bring you a shocking development from within Russia, a reality the Kremlin desperately wants to keep hidden. Thousands of Russian citizens are fleeing their country, no longer willing to carry the burden of war and repression. Soldiers are deserting the front lines while civilians seek refuge in neighboring countries to escape the oppressive regime. This growing wave of migration clearly signals the internal collapse of Putin's rule. From Georgia to Kazakhstan, from Finland to Latin America, Russians are searching for hope along immigration routes. Why is this mass exodus happening? How have Putin's policies pushed the people to this breaking point? And what does this escape mean for Russia's future? Before we dive into the details, a quick reminder. Here at Anka Daily News, we continue to bring you the truth despite censorship. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our daily reports and analysis. Despite the Kremlin's efforts to conceal the facts, we remain committed to bringing them to light. Putin's invasion of Ukraine has caused devastation not only on the battlefield, but deep within Russia itself. The Russian people can no longer bear the weight of this war. Increasing sanctions, deepening economic crises, and political repression are driving millions to look for a way out. The economy is collapsing. Western sanctions have forced many international companies to leave Russia, leaving especially the youth unemployed. The middle class is disappearing, inflation is soaring, and basic necessities are becoming unaffordable. Thousands of small and medium-sized businesses have gone bankrupt. The ruble has lost significant value, and Russia is struggling to import essential goods and services. Even the once loyal, wealthy elites who benefited from Putin's rule are now transferring their assets abroad out of the fear of growing instability. But the crisis is not just economic. In today's Russia, even speaking your mind is dangerous. The government has zero tolerance for anti-war statements. Critics are arrested on the spot. Journalists are either forced to flee or silenced. People are afraid to express their thoughts even in their own homes. Social media platforms are heavily censored. Independent news outlets are shut down. Harsh censorship laws prevent any narrative that contradicts the Kremlin's official line. Citizens speaking out against the war, even in private conversations, are being reported by informants to the authorities. And this is precisely why millions of Russians are fleeing. They see no future in Putin's Russia. From the beginning, Putin tried to frame the invasion as a special military operation, but the Russian people now see the truth. This is a full-scale war, and they are losing it. Young men are especially terrified. Since the war began, they've tried every possible way to avoid conscription. Last year, hundreds of thousands rushed to the borders of Georgia and Kazakhstan to escape the draft. Some had to pay bribes to get out. No one wants to be sent to the front lines because the reality of the war is terrifying. The Ukrainian army continues to inflict heavy losses on Russian forces. Deserting soldiers, prisoners of war, and returning veterans have exposed the horrific conditions of the battlefield. Russian soldiers are starving, supply lines are broken, and food is nearly impossible to find. Ammunition is running out. Against Ukraine's modern, Western-backed weapons, Russian troops are forced to fight with outdated and unreliable equipment. Medical treatment is almost non-existent. Field hospitals are so overwhelmed that many wounded soldiers bleed to death without help. All of this has created a massive morale collapse among the troops. Some Russian soldiers now refuse to fight, others surrender willingly. In recent months, border crossings in Georgia and Kazakhstan have been overwhelmed. Russian citizens are packing what little they can and heading to border checkpoints. Some are even attempting to cross on foot. Countries like Georgia, Kazakhstan, Finland and Serbia have taken in millions of Russian refugees since the war began. But now, even these countries are becoming more cautious about accepting Russian immigrants. Some Russian men pretend to be tourists to avoid being identified as draft dodgers. Others pay thousands of dollars to smugglers to help them cross the border. The desperation is so great that people are selling everything they own just to escape. And they're not just heading to neighboring countries. Some are fleeing to Latin America, even Africa. At Moscow's airport, hundreds of people each day buy one-way tickets, leaving Russia for good. But what are they leaving behind? Their homes, families, and entire lives. Still, for many, abandoning everything is better than staying in Putin's Russia. The Russian people no longer believe in Putin. At the beginning, millions supported the war under the influence of Kremlin propaganda. But as the number of funerals grows, more families are beginning to question the war's purpose. Putin's greatest fear now is losing public support completely. That's why the government is tightening its grip. New laws are restricting citizens from leaving the country. Travel restrictions are being placed on men of military age. The Kremlin is increasing social media censorship to silence dissent. Police raids are being used to instill fear. Yet, despite all this repression, people are still finding ways to escape. Fake documents and illegal border crossings are becoming more common. Just like in past authoritarian regimes, underground networks are once again helping people flee. Throughout history, wars have caused massive waves of immigration, but the scale of this exodus from Russia is nearly unprecedented. Citizens of a modern superpower are fleeing in numbers never seen before and in such a short time. Putin's greatest strength was always his public support, but now that support is rapidly evaporating. If this wave of immigration continues, the collapse may not only happen on the front lines, but within the walls of the Kremlin itself. What do you think? Can Putin stop the millions from leaving? Could this exodus be the beginning of a greater rebellion? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Here at Anka Daily News, we'll continue bringing you the latest developments. The truth, no matter how hard it's buried, always finds its way out.